And welcome on in, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the WyoNation Roundup. I am your host, Chad Smith, and tonight I am joined with Mr. Brad Reed. Good evening, Brad.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Pretty good. We're hanging in there this week. Glad to have some actual football stuff to talk about, which we'll get to, but I think we'll start the show with a very productive weekend in Cleveland for the Wyoming wrestling team. Brad, let the folks know what they missed if they were not following.
Well, I guess if you weren't following the boys in Cleveland, which I was kind of following them from afar, it felt like I was on a golf trip all weekend. But yeah, they had a great finish at the NCAA tournament. They had a 12th place team finish, which is, geez, it's got to be the highest they've had in years. So that was good. Penn State obviously ran away with it. They had it wrapped up after Friday, I think.
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, so the real battle after that was second place between Nebraska and Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State got over that hump. But yeah, the Cowboys came away with 3 All-Americans. So another quality showing for the Cowboys there. We had the highest placer, Joey Novak, finished 4th. He lost a tough one to Stephen Little from Arkansas, Little Rock. Stephen Little's a really good wrestler. And yeah, so 4th place finish for Joey, 7th place finish for Eddie Knightenbach. Had a medical forfeit in his last match of the day against Zach Ryder from Oklahoma State. Then Christian Carroll came in 8th place. He took the really long road to becoming an All-American. He was like, I think I read he was like one of like 4 or 5 wrestlers or something like that lost their first match of the tournament and came back to make All-American.
Yeah, impressive.
Yeah, I mean, just battled through it all weekend long. Came up with that 8th place finish and we talked about this last week that he kind of got screwed in his seed because of his matches at the Big 12 tournament, and he kind of fell down the bracket and just absolute monster in the tournament. Really good showing for him, and it's going to be really exciting to have him back next year, hopefully. It's transfer portal season come up next week, so who knows who's going to throw a bag, but yeah, it was really good to see Christian battle through that and make All-American. Gabe Willishell finished 3-2. Lost in the blood round to Casey Swiderski from Oklahoma State. So he was, just that one match away from hitting All-American.
Mm-hmm.
Riley Davis got his first win at the NCAA tournament, and Luke Willishell, he went 0-2 this weekend, but true freshman coming in or redshirt freshman, I don't remember which, but yeah, coming in and making his first tournament out of the gate. So learning experience for him, and this won't be his last trip, I'm sure.
Hopefully, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
We'll see, right? Wrestling is really the ultimate. It's a team game, but it really is, it's mano a mano, like seriously. And
yeah,
so
no, it's one-on-one.
There's nobody to help you.
Yeah, and the season's a grinder. I'm sure the guys are a little beat up after a season like this. So, but yeah, next season starts next week, I guess. So
next week,
you can have your 1 week of eating burgers and eating 3,000 calories a day. Then it's back to the grind, I'm sure.
Maybe, yeah. Right, pretty much all sports, right? Even in college, it's a 365 ordeal, and right, Wyoming. So we'll keep you up to date, Brad and Shay will, on roster movement. I'm sure Shay is going to try to get some coaches on here at the close of the season to talk about that. And then, of course, right, the number one thing we're looking forward to is the opening of that facility here in the fall for the new season, which is going to put Wyoming right in the upper echelon in terms of not even the upper echelon, like the top 1% in terms of facilities in the country.
Yeah, you got schools like Cal Baptist, getting rid of their program and whatnot, and you've got Wyoming going the opposite direction and investing heavily into the wrestling program. So that's positive to see. And obviously, they're having, they're having a lot more success, in the last 2 or 3 years with that investment. So they, the investments are coming. The boys keep producing. So
Yeah, and obviously having such a quality showing here on the national stage, finishing 12th.
You look at it.
Help.
The Cowboys were probably 2 wins away from finishing in the top 10.
Mm-hmm. This is really close.
Yeah. So that's a lot of improvement for
then who was
a mid-major program, as it were.
Which wrestler? One of them lost literally in the final second of a match.
I think that was Eddie Nightenbach.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
or was it
close.
Gabe Willishell? I think Gabe Willishell's match was super close too. His last one.
Yeah. So right there on the edge of a top 10 finish, but again, still 12th place, their highest showing in years. And Mark Branch has really dialed it in. He's comfortable. His wrestlers are comfortable, and it shows that Wyoming, you may not, just like in any other sport, you're not going to make a whole lot of money in terms of NIL, but as Craig Bowl used to say, you're going to come in, you're going to get coached well, you're going to get a quality degree, and in Wyoming, if you come to wrestle or play football or whatever, you're getting your education in that sport to develop yourself.
And you look at what Tom Berman said 2 or 3 weeks ago when he did his AMA, as it were. The wrestlers are one of the only 5. They're one of the 5 sports at Wyoming that are part of the revenue share.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there is a certain financial path the university offers them to help out. So
yeah. So it is exciting, right? So again, I hope this really opens people's eyes because Wyoming wrestling is really the only sport that we can truly compete at the highest level, at a national level, for talent and for results. And so it really is great to see Wyoming bounce back after a tough year last year and get back to where they can show where they can be, and that's going to help get more talent into the door to guys who just want to come in and wrestle without distraction.
Yeah, and the bar I think has been set this year, right? Like 12th place is now the low bar, and now next year you got to be shooting for top 10 at the NCAA's, 3 or 4 or 5 All-Americans, and the talent on the roster exists to get that done. So
yeah, so we'll see what happens in the portal season again. We have the resources. We may lose a guy or two, but you should be able to bring a guy in, just like Carroll was a transfer.
Christian Carroll, yep.
All-American, came in as a transfer. He chose Wyoming for a reason, and it paid off for him.
Yep. Yeah, and he wouldn't have started at Iowa State, but came to Wyoming, started, and now he's an All-American.
Yeah, right. So that shows that's the path Wyoming should really just be pounding their chests and beating down people's doors, saying, "Hey, you can come here and play and have an opportunity to be successful in any sport." Right? Don't be a backup at some school. We can get you that same exposure, right? Because especially, again, maybe not for wrestling, because I know the professional opportunities after college are kind of low.
Yeah.
Right. Even our best guys have transferred to MMA.
MMA, or what's that new league? RAF, I think it is. The one they stream on Fox Nation, I think it is.
But the idea is you can come here and they'll find you, right? You got to get tape. And the scouts in any sport, they'll find you. It doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, Josh Allen should be poster child number 1 for that.
Well, geez, I mean, they've had they've had 2 guys drafted in the NBA, from little Wyoming. That's more than a lot of the Mountain West schools have, done. So
true. Very true. So very good to see. Shay, I'm sure next time he's on, will give us some more notes on stuff. And then again, hopefully he can get a coach or two or maybe a wrestler on as they break from the season and have a chance to relax and
Decompress.
recover. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is the news there with wrestling, and then also, the main reason we're here tonight is yesterday spring football started in the Laramie, Brad, and it was nice enough to they were practicing outside in the war. How amazing is that in March?
Well, most years I would say that that's amazing because it's Laramie in the March, but it has been an unusually warm winter across the entire Rocky Mountains.
La
So
Nina. That's why, folks.
yeah, it was a
Look it
big
up.
La Nina year. So yeah, I mean, I was out hiking the mountains of Montana in January without a jacket on, short sleeves. So nothing surprises me at this point.
Mm-hmm. So we do have some football news. When they made the press release of the start of spring practice, they announced a new coaching staff member.
Yeah.
And I find this very interesting. Again, name pronunciation, not sure. I'm sure it's wrong. But Abe Rorich is in the door as an assistant linebackers coach. And it looks to me, Brad, that his link to the staff is that he played linebacker at Morehead State with one Craig Bowl Jr., Little Bowl.
I was going to say Aaron Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Now, he's not Craig Bowl. I have it such in his head. Sorry. Good Lord. Craig Bowl Jr. That is embarrassing.
I was going to say, if that guy played linebacker with Craig Bowl, they maybe had leather helmets.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, Aaron Bowl. I don't know. I always get little junior. I always call him junior, right? So, but he's not a junior. He seems like a junior. Aaron Bowl. Yes. He played with Aaron Bowl at Morehead State, the Dragons. And so he coached there as well. After he finished playing, he coached there from 2019 to 2025 as a defensive backs coach and a special teams coordinator. And that's the big thing I'm highlighting. Is this another guy to come in and help in special teams? And the reason I say this is because they point out that he helped them be really good in special teams. So that leads me to believe that he will have his hand in that bucket as well. And it's a good thing, right? Because he played linebacker with Bull. And so he's going to come in and probably, hopefully, right, lessen a bit of the load on Bull to where he doesn't have to coach the linebackers as hard and he can focus on the entire defense as coordinator.
Well, and just having an eye on special teams, that's going to be huge. And it's kind of a reversal. I don't think that Craig Bull had a huge focus on special teams when he was here.
He did.
Well, kind of.
He ran the unit with Moore.
I just remember that we were anti-punt return, and that was just giving up yards. But
true, yeah, and that's not good coaching, right? I agree with you there, yeah.
But you look at the press release that we got the other day, and they were terrific in punt blocking. They were what it said they led the conference in kick return yards in 2022, and the punt unit ranked fourth in the North Star, I think it is, in 2023. So the fact that he's been a part of special teams coaching that could improve our team, I think is a huge positive. And sorely needed, honestly.
And remember, the new cornerbacks coach also was a special teams coach at UNC. And then you have Moore, of course. So I think all three of those guys will probably, together be running that unit. And it shows a big focus on it. And hopefully Savell, right, gets his finger in there as well to show how important it is. Because our special teams, since Bull has left, have been really poor.
Yeah, and do we it's been so long since I've even looked at anything football related. We do have a kicker coming back, right? Or don't we?
Sandvik is still in the fold. And then the punter returns too, who had a an okay year. He can do better, but he had a pretty good year for a
Yeah.
guy coming out of JUCO. So the kicking wise were good. It's just returns, right? That's where you have to find those hidden yards, and it's hard these days because of the rules are ridiculous. But if you can find a special teams player who can return kicks and return punts, who can get you that extra 5 or 10 yards a kick, I mean, that adds up over time. It's all in that hidden yards.
Yep. Yeah, and just even being able to have a threat at being able to take a kick to the house, that's just another opportunity to score rather than just not.
So we'll see what happens there, but he is coming on board, and we'll see how that dynamic is again. But again, I think it's a positive. It's a guy who obviously understands bowl, and he should understand the system. And he'll kind of take a little bit of that workload away from him, I'm sure. And bowl can focus more on the defense, and I think that's going to have a net positive effect.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no reason not to have more coaches on staff, right? Like,
unlimited
that cap
coaches
is gone. So if we can get guys in here with experience, get guys in here, that'll be positive contributors to the team, then absolutely, let's get them in here and do better.
And as we've seen, right, it doesn't matter what level of football they come from. Football is football, and if you can coach, you can coach. So,
yep, absolutely the truth.
So so that is I think is a pretty big piece of news that was barely reported. So we want to let you know that is out there.
I was surprised when I read that yesterday, and we hadn't heard about it yet, but here we are.
I don't know.
Talking about it.
It seems like I went to his Twitter feed, and it looks like he's been tweeting Wyoming-related stuff since like January. So I think he's been on board. They just waited until now to let everybody know. But the big news is, and I want to thank the University of Wyoming, because sometimes they're a little lax on this. But basically yesterday, like almost immediately after it was over, they posted Jay Sauvel's first spring press conference on Wyo Vision on YouTube.
Wow.
So thank you to them. If you watch this, thank you. Because you need to do that because people like to consume news themselves. And there's no need. Every other school in the nation is doing it. So please, I hope they keep it up for people like us and for the fans.
Well, even like the Sheep, they do theirs like on Twitter live, and
most of them do it live. True, 100%. Most schools not only post it, but they'll broadcast those things live. And Wyoming's lacked in that the past couple of years. So I hope this isn't just a one-off. I hope we get every practice that he talks to the media. I hope we get it posted.
Yeah, even like the post-game ones. Like, geez, last year it was so hit and miss to get a post-game press conference.
Sometimes it wouldn't be until like Wednesday or Thursday they'd be there,
or even if
at all.
Yeah, and for guys like us, we obviously keep up with the teams plural, I guess. To bring you guys content and having access to post-game press conferences or just spring press conferences is super helpful. Since we're all fairly remote. So
so hopefully Wyoming Athletics will keep that up, and they'll keep that Wyo Vision stocked and ready throughout the spring. So with that said, it was like a 25-minute press conference, which again is a long one for Wyoming, and lots of stuff that Jay Sauvel talked about. So let me get through some of the bullet points, and stop me if you want to talk about something. First of all, he says he really likes the spirit and vibe of this team. And he says that they're a real low-maintenance bunch. So I think that's a good thing. He says that they worked on their business during the offseason. Like Gus, right? Just like with any time of year, right? Going in the fall camp, going in the spring camp, every coach at every university in the entire country is saying what 3 things, Brad?
The guys are out there really grinding. They look really good. They're full of energy. They're they're working on developing their game. We're not quite there yet. Uh, we'd like to see a few things go a little bit better, but the boys are looking good.
There we go. Close. Yeah. You hit on a lot of the bigger points, but I was thinking of the three specific themes is there. Everybody's bigger, faster, stronger, in the best shape of
Oh,
their life.
oh yeah,
Blah, blah, blah. Right?
that goes without saying.
Yeah.
The
It
guys
was
guys have
so
been in the film room really grinding all winter long. We had a good winter conditioning. Everybody looks good. Yeah.
so again, of course, Wyoming, right? Everybody's in the best shape of their life. They're bigger, faster, stronger. So that's good to see. In terms of specifics, he mentioned that he thinks the defensive end position is going to be really good, highlighted by the two transfers that they got in. He called the first guy Thaddeus. I think it's the guy with the Greek name that I probably can't pronounce as his last name.
You could try.
I can't. Yeah, and then he mentioned the kid from Duquesne, I think.
Hmm.
Dunkel, is that his name?
Uh,
You could
that's
bring up the roster, but yeah. So those two transfers, he says, look really good. They're both grinders. I think they're going to fit. We talked about this when we signed them, right? That they seem to be like prototypical Wyoming defensive ends.
mhm.
So very good to see there. He thinks the defensive ends are going to be good. I'm looking for more defensive notes here. I don't see many. Most of the talk was about the offense, of course. So why you get those names? I should have wrote them down, but I was too lazy, to be honest.
I was gonna
He
say I'm terrible to rely on this because I have my work laptop in front of me and I typed in my quick search into the console window that I was on, and
oh,
because
that's not good.
it's fine. I'm not dumb.
It's okay. Other defensive notes. We'll do that first. He also doubled down on the potential and the production he thinks we'll see from Gary Rutherford.
Which he was on the verge of having a really good year last year too.
Maybe, supposedly. I don't know, right? So again, I don't know if that does Rutherford any favors. I know he got injured right before the season, a knee injury. Again, they didn't come out and say anything, right? And he never played. So I was like, you can't be talking up the guy like he's God, right? He was talking about him being like what was the term he used? Something about a wagon.
Sure.
I don't know. Oh,
Man,
hell on wheels. That's it.
perfect. Even better.
He called him hell on wheels, and then he barely played. So again, you don't do anybody any favors. I think he didn't really do it today, and I'll give him this. He talked a lot about the potential of this team and how he liked it, but then for once he followed that up with basically but we still have a lot of work to do. And he even said, we're so far away from where we need to be. He's like, if you're looking down the tunnel, we can't even see light. So that's good. He's balancing it instead of last year. We don't need to be bombastic, right? Let's just put our work in and improve as a football team.
Yeah, that's also a very college coach thing to say in the spring. We can't even see the end of the tunnel.
Well, no, it isn't, because last year, right, he was, saying crazy stuff, right? And that's what I don't want to hear this spring about this wide receiver, because I can't remember. Were you on last week?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, right, we haven't had a 500-yard wide receiver in 8 years.
Since 2020?
2017.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah. So, again, I don't want to hear about this guy's going to break out. No, we're at the point to where we've gone 3-9 and 4-8 the past 2 years. And we don't need to hear about so-and-so. We need to see it, right? We need to be Missouri. We're the show me state now is what we need to be. The show me program. We need to see it.
So I went back. It's Thaddeus Gianaris. They don't have the pronunciation. They don't have the
all right
pronunciation
guide
up.
Probably.
But he was at Dartmouth previous to this, though.
There we go. Yeah. So him and is it Dunkel? I want to say
Dunkley, Jack Dunkley from
Dunkley. That's it.
Yep, senior. And he was at Duquesne.
He was at Duquesne, yep. So those two guys he's really high on. Hello, Bruiser. Good to see you. Thank you for seeing us again. We're perpetually a work in progress looking for the light in the tunnel. Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good life metaphor too.
So I'm glad that he mentioned that. So he did say a lot of great things, but then he followed it up each time this year with, but we're nowhere near where we need to be. So I'm happy, right? We can talk people up to give them confidence, but let's not, again, right? Every year we've heard about a wide receiver. Oh, this guy's going to pop. He's all conference, blah, blah, blah. And then what? They get like 5 catches. So
expectations is probably a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah. And I jumped into the offense there. Last thing defensively, and this is where he kind of said the train and the light in the tunnel metaphor was he thinks this football team has the talent and the ability to be the best defense we've had since he's been here. But again, tons of work to do to get to that point. So,
well, last year's defense was really good.
Yeah.
So an improved defense on top of that would be tremendous.
For sure.
That would be, probably near the top of the Mountain West in defense for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be really cool to see. And
yeah.
I think Aaron Bull's got, the coaching talent to pull that off. So
yeah, let's hope last year wasn't a fluke, right? I think we can build off that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there was a lot of questions, and I was leading a lot of that. I was like, man, I don't know. And they proved us wrong. They brought in the right guys. They got better, and it seems they brought in the right profile of player again this year to fill the gaps they had. So,
yep.
That's great news. Offensively, right, was the most of the talk of this press conference. So let's start there. A lot of talk about the offensive line to start his talks and the questions that he got. He says that the offensive line depth and development is at the best point that we've been at since he's been here. I guess the news there is the transfer from Nebraska, Majacek, is starting out at center. He played guard at Nebraska. He could play center too. I don't think he ever played center at Nebraska, but he did play some guard. So they're starting him at center, but he did say there are 5 other guys who are in contention for that center spot. But the transfer from Nebraska is leading the way right now, and that's where they're trying to see if he can play that spot and be a leader on the offensive line.
Yeah, and you got, I don't know, we need as good of an anchor as possible in that position. So hopefully they make the right choice. Make the right choice there.
Yeah. And then, right, he said, again, a lot of the guys who played a little last year or redshirted last year, he says they're all, again, bigger, faster, stronger. They developed, they changed their bodies, and now they're ready to play at a Mountain West level because he said, right, you don't see at any level of college football, right, like first-year offensive linemen coming in and playing right away. It doesn't really happen, so –
you have to be an exceptional athlete to make that happen. And modern day college football requires you to be more than exceptional on the offensive line physically. Yeah, hard to go back 10 years ago and be kind of a, flabby high school kid getting a shot on the offensive line.
For sure. Then we also talked quite a bit about Toad Harris. He said that during the end of last season and into the off season, he said he was 100%. There was 100% chance that he was coming back because Toad told him that. He's like, hey, there's not a doubt I'm coming back. He did have his knee scoped with the meniscus injury, and they say that he's healthy. He's good to go. They are going to kind of monitor him over the spring, right, because there's no need to push him too hard, but they said he's feeling good. And that, right, he was never a threat to leave, and he always wanted to stay, and it was just working out minor details, and he never came in to complain about anything. And so really great, for Wyoming to keep him around. Hopefully he can stay healthy, right? And then hopefully they can use him in the way that he is best going to highlight his talents because we saw that he's an exceptional pass catcher out of the backfield.
Talented runner, good pass catcher. It's quarterback's wet dream.
And then speaking of quarterback, a lot of
Oh.
talk about him. Hughes, the transfer from William and Mary, and I've never seen Jay Savell smile as much as when he was talking about Hughes. He mentioned that his mobility is really going to help not only the offense, right? Because he said if defenses don't keep running gap integrity, it's going to be a 30 or 40-yard run for Hughes because he's probably the fastest player on the team, is what he said.
That's high praise.
Good. And then he said the defense is going to get improved too because they're facing this guy every day. And right, as we know, there's no ability in practice. You can get all the scout team guys you want, but you can't mirror that. You can't duplicate that in practice. So our defense gets to see a top flight mobile quarterback every day.
I was going to say, how many times have we had a New Mexico quarterback burn us?
Yeah.
Or geez, even
Dampier.
Was it Dampier or was it UNLV last year? Seems like UNLV 1 or 2 years ago had a really exceptional running quarterback.
Exactly. So that is going to help us see that. So help that running lanes. But yeah, I mean, they're really happy with Hughes. He did say it's a quarterback battle, but we all know that
in theory,
if Hughes doesn't win that battle, I'd be absolutely shocked.
Yep. Well, and so Mason Darube is still out there competing for the starting spot. Landon Sims still recovering from knee injury last year.
Yeah.
Then the press release did mention last week, I think it was, that Gage Brook got moved to tight end. So he's not competing for quarterback this year.
Yeah, and that's interesting because Savell, when he was talking about the defensive ends, he mentioned the name Brook.
There's
and
two.
I'm like, is there? Okay. I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? Okay. So I was like, is there another Brook I don't know about?
No. So I think the quarterback tight end, Brook, I think he's from Natrona. Then there's Cade Brook. He's a defensive end from Denver.
Okay. That explains that. Thank you for having that up. Because I was like, well, wait a minute. Did they actually move him to the D end?
No,
they didn't.
T end.
Okay. Great.
So, and then we'll have the other quarterback coming in this summer. Hasselbeck. Yep. So 4 guys competing in this summer. Well, I don't know if Landon Sims will be competing this summer, but
no,
he'll be at practices and whatnot. So,
and if he can get healthy, right, he's another guy you could add in there. And remember this: when Christian Taylor was at William and Mary, he had formations where he put in 2 mobile quarterbacks and had them both in shotgun, and it wreaked havoc because they were both able to run and they were both able to throw. And you might be able to do that with Landon Sims.
Yeah, I would guess that Landon Sims' running style is a little bit different than Christian Hughes.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, they're both really mobile. I mean, we saw Sims run. He was our most effective runner at times before he got hurt. So we'll see. Let's see here. Looking at my notes, other things we talked about, the wide receiver spot. Now, he specifically called out the slot receivers, saying that we had like one of the worst slot receiver production in the country, which is true. And then he also did say, well, the outside wasn't any better. And so he said wide receiver position, slot and outside is completely wide open. The depth chart is blank. And that's the way it needs to be, right? Because our wide receivers have been, no offense to any of them, right? Because they're trying, but trash. Absolute garbage production from the wide receiver position over the past 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into that, right? Like
100%.
Some of it's scheme, some of it's your quarterback, some of it's your, there's a lot that goes into it. Coaching, and I think we've probably righted the ship as far as coaching goes, and
yeah.
So
So now it's time to build from there. So we'll see. So again, it should be wide open. A lot of wide receivers on the roster, and so the best 3 or 4 guys should play the most. So we'll see there. And that's basically all I have. I have something written down on the bottom, but I can't. Oh no, I already talked about that.
I was way off. Gage Brooks from Fort Collins. He's not from Natrona. I thought I read that last year. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a walk-on
way off.
from Sheepville. No, yeah, he's the last guy we've had who got over 500 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess 2017 is wrong. I think you're right. It was 21, I guess.
I think we said last week it was 2021.
Yeah, I think he had 700 yards.
Yeah, because we had the shortened year. We had the shortened year from COVID that was only 6 games.
So one wide receiver in 7 is the stat, or since 2017. Which is obviously you're not going to win college football games, and your leading wide receiver only has like 300 yards receiving. That's not going to work.
Not unless you're Army or Air Force.
Yeah, unless you're running the triple option and you got like 3 1,000-yard rushers.
Yeah, that also helps.
And even the Air Force can't do that anymore. So
they've become a throwing team.
I know. Yeah.
Finally put the air in Air Force.
Yes. He also praised the staff and said the main reason that we had roster retention is because of the coaches. He said, of course, he's going to say, he's not going to come out and say his staff is terrible, obviously. But, really, if you go 3-9 and 4-8, I don't know. I'll just offer some fan pushback on that. I don't know. And that's the big thing for me. So let's talk about now. Those are the notes. But the 3 big things that we need to see this spring, the first one, is obvious, is injury-free, We can't have anybody doing something that's going to knock them out for any amount of the season if we think they're going to be a starter or even on the 2 deep.
Yep.
First and foremost. So, yeah, you agree. Nothing to say.
No, that's absolutely something that has to happen. Don't get hurt.
Yeah. And then second is I'm really this spring is really important on the offensive side of the ball. And Christian Taylor, apparently, in his past, is the way this is operated for him, is that he doesn't bring his own coaches to help coach the offense. But it concerns me a little because our offense and our offensive coaching has been so terrible. He really has to do a great job of coaching the coaches to his standard. Mainly it's the standard, and then his system to make sure that this offense takes a step forward. I'm pretty shocked that he didn't bring at least one more person in who could help him out in that. So I think this is a big spring for him. And of course they've been working, since he's got on campus the past 2 months on this, and figuring out, looking at film, figuring out what they can do, teaching the coaches. But really, he is the most important person because he's got nobody else to teach the system other than him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and having that year off, I guess his Rumspringa in Buffalo last year, maybe coaches that he previously had at William and Mary just weren't available, or maybe they found better jobs than what they would move to. So could be anything, right?
Sure. But usually you see, somebody bring someone else to help you teach. So It does concern me because our offense has been so bad. I don't trust any of the coaches because the offense has been, abysmal. We could be honest, they would say that too. Abysmal. And it's what's holding us back big time. We're not even a threat most of the time. So he has got a big spring, and hey, if that's the way he operates, then I'll put my trust in him because I think obviously he's a very talented coach, and he's changed, He's had these couple years in the NFL, and I'm sure he's seen some things that he's tweaked his system. So he's going to come out, and people are going to see stuff that they haven't seen on film anywhere, and so that's good for Wyoming.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Positive vibes only.
And I had a third point, but I don't remember, to be honest.
Must have been a good
So I
point.
could let you can come up with a third point, but those are my big two, right? Don't get hurt. Let's make sure that we really get this offense on a solid footing to where all the coaches and all the players understand the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Right, as we've said time and time before, this staff, this is the make or break year. If you can't win with this schedule, you're not going to win, right? This schedule is about as easy as it's going to get for an FBS college football team.
Luckily, one of the most important games of the year is our first one out of the gate. So good luck.
Yeah, that's going to be a very interesting dynamic. But then again, they have a pretty terrible roster.
Yeah.
And a new coach. So I don't care how good he is. I think he's quality, but I mean, that roster is not good.
That hire still just, what an interesting hire that was. I'll say that much. What an interesting hire that was.
So we'll see. So that's going to be a fascinating dynamic playing the Sheep week 1. And speaking of week 1, did you see, I just saw this from Football Scoop before we went on air. I have heard chatter about this, but they're reporting that this is probably going to go through. Starting in 2027, week 0 will be the new week 1 for everybody. So they're going to move up the calendar a week. Why? Because they want to, because of the playoff and the expansion. We've been in the 12-game era for a while now, but they want teams to have 2 bye weeks.
But they're still going to make the playoffs unwatchable.
I know. I agree. I would move it up and then get rid of conference games. So then we're not, we shouldn't be playing college football title game in what was like late January.
It was damn near February.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, ridiculous.
It is. Like, they'd stretched out too far. Like, if somehow the FCS can figure out how to squeeze 24 teams in, and have their championship game with a month break, the week after New Year's, I don't know why these clowns can't do it too.
Well, and that's the big thing, right? In what sport do you have these long breaks? It makes no sense. What would you think if they played the AFC title game in like January 1st, and they said, "Hey, we'll see you in February for the Super Bowl"? I mean,
honestly, we're like halfway there.
True, but the NFL, they do take a week break, but they don't take a month off.
They take a 2-week break. It's 2
well,
weeks
it's
between.
Sure,
it's a lot.
Technically,
I've already lost interest in the games by then.
Okay, well,
honestly, I kind of think the NCAA basketball tournament stretch is too long.
Really?
Oh, it goes like almost a month.
Well, there's 64 teams or 68. And they're going to expand it probably
but
to
they
72.
Play 32 games in like 4 days.
Well, football you can only play once a week, but still, I don't think moving week 1 to week 0 and giving people an extra bye week is the right decision. You need to compress the calendar for sure.
No, completely agree. That and the Army-Navy game being played so late too also doesn't help. Because, there's been more than one time where that particular game has had playoff and bowl implications, or, geez, the one year with Keenan Reynolds that had Heisman implications.
Yeah.
So there's just kind of, I don't know. The calendar definitely needs compressed.
Yeah, so we'll see what shakes out. And then there's the other report. This has not been widely reported. And again, I've been predicting this forever. I can't believe it hasn't happened yet, but I think now the momentum is rolling. But there is an NCAA committee studying the creation of a new football subdivision, which would essentially see the Power 4 conferences break off into their own subsection of NCAA football. I don't know why they just don't leave the NCAA at all, because at this point in time, right, they're running the show.
They're ungovernable as it is.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what that's going to look like. I would hope and I know it won't happen because of money, but I would hope if they break off, then the teams that get left behind say, screw you. You guys play each other. We're not going to play you. But I know we will because we need the money.
Yeah. That's the big thing is we need the money. I mean, right now I'm sure there's programs in Conference USA and the MAC and that probably sustain their entire football program by playing 2 bye games every year.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you can make $1 million or more, I mean, it used to be $1 million, but I'm sure some of these are 2 or 3 million games.
Geez, there's FCS teams that do that where they play like a bye game against, like a big name, Big Sky or Missouri Valley school, then go on the road and get their ass kicked by some Power 4 school.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what shakes out there. I had another point I was going to make on that. Oh, here's the funny thing. Of course, when this report comes out, I start reading the comments.
Oh, no.
And we got these Pac-12 lunatics.
Oh, my God.
Who are saying that, oh, well, we should be included in this, too. We should be a part of the breakaway.
Yeah, let's put Colorado State as part of the breakaway.
Yes. And I'm like, yes, the new Pac-12 is totally going to be part of the new upper
You'll
division.
be part of the breakaway just like Gonzaga's football team will be part of the breakaway.
Yes. But I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Pretty funny stuff.
Good luck to your sirs. And, that's the thing, too, is like you think about it, right? You're thinking about like the new Pac-12. There's teams probably in the Power 4 that shouldn't be in the Power 4, but they're there because they've been grandfathered in over the course of conference realignments
like
and whatnot.
70, 80 years of being in that league.
Yeah. You look at some of these teams, you're just like, oh, you're kind of the little sisters of the poor, too. And I wonder, if as they're doing a feasibility study or whatever, that they look at a program like maybe Boise State or maybe even to a lesser extent like San Diego State that have national brand value and think about like a relegation system where, those guys would move up into a situation like that and maybe like your Vanderbilts once Diego Pavia graduates, get moved down or Syracuse or, teams like that. I don't know.
It'll never happen.
Or if they keep their nice, tidy 72 teams and call it a day. However many teams it is, I don't know.
Yeah. So we'll see. So 2 little interesting governing things that have popped up over the past week.
Do you think they'll be included?
Yeah, totally. We're going to get called up by the Big 12. No, I mean,
yeah. Technically, we are already part of the Big 12.
True.
Technically.
Wrestling, of course. So
we were part of the Big 12 before BYU was. And don't let them forget it.
Yeah. So that's kind of where things stand. Football team will practice again tomorrow. And we'll see. Hopefully I don't know if he's talking after every practice. We'll see again how that shakes out. And we'll keep you updated on what we're hearing. But again, number one thing is just to teach the new offensive system and stay injury free.
Yeah, I think the media availability this year this spring so far has been far better. So positive.
Positive for sure. So yeah, looking forward to see what happens there. And then hopefully, we'll get some player interviews and some of the assistant coaches. Of course, Taylor, again, most important coach on the staff, most important person in the state of Wyoming, I would argue.
I don't know. I mean, Brian still lives there.
True. That's true. Mr. Brian Stevens does. Mr. Wyoming basketball. So, yeah, and he'll be back next week. And then, by then, the portal will be pretty much almost open. So, Wyoming did have 1 portal entry already in the Marion Dennis. taking his basketball and leaving, but that's okay, right? I mean, we'll see what happens there. Brian will break that down probably more next week. Might be some more names trickling out, but as we have seen, Mr. Sundance Wicks knows what he's doing, so he'll upgrade the talent on the basketball team for sure.
Sonny's had a few, I don't want to say salty tweets in the last week, but definitely some tweets to think about.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen those, you might just want to peruse his timeline. You'll see them.
They are very funny though.
Yeah. So, all right, boys and girls. Well, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Brad, glad you could jump on.
I'm here for you, buddy.
Talk some football. I mean, it's great to talk football, right? Even it's spring, so we can think about good things and good things only.
Golf.
Mostly
golf.
Okay.
That's pretty much what's occupying like the entirety of my brain right now.
Golf? Okay. Well, I'm glad
on the golf course.
You could take a break from golf to talk some Wyoming football and some Wyoming wrestling with us.
It's raining anyway.
Everybody else out there, take care. Have a good rest of your week, and we'll be back next week to break down whatever happens in the world of Wyoming athletics. So for Brad Reed, I'm Chad Smith. Thank you for staying with WyoNation.com. See you all next time, and go Pokes.